Welcome to my 2018 top 10 list. Yep, it's another top 10 list. I know, they're all over YouTube and whatever. There's too many of them, but you know what? Here's another one. So, 2018 was a year. A bunch of movies came out, some good stuff, some bad stuff, like every other year. I'm not going to exaggerate and say that this was super disappointing. It's like the worst year in cinematic history or something.
Disappointed!
And I'm not going to bullshit the other way and say that it was the best, and I was so glad to see all the best stuff I've ever seen come out in my entire life, because neither of those were the case. But what I will say on reflecting back on the movies of this year and movies that I've liked in the past and have been looking forward to is that I feel like my tastes have changed a bit and they've adapted a little bit, they've evolved a bit. I feel like my desire for more mature, more morality-based sort of stuff, things that make me question things that make me think and talk about the movies have kind of grown. I love that kind of stuff more than I've loved other, superhero movies and stuff before, and I've seen a lot of praise for things like Ant-Man and Deadpool 2 and I don't know, stuff like that. And sure, I love Marvel. I'm gonna go keep seeing Marvel movies. I'm a huge fan. I mean, come on, massive fan. But still, I think if the movie's coming out soon, like Welcome to Marwen and Ben is Back, and those movies excite me more than, other choices like Bumblebee and Aquaman and stuff that's coming out like next week or something. I'm not really looking forward to Aquaman that much. Like, I don't think it looks that good. Unfortunately. I'm not going to lie and just say that I'm some super well-versed, artsy-fartsy guy that just knows everything about cinema and stuff. I'm not trying to be a smartass here, and I'm not saying that, I'm not looking forward to Endgame next year and stuff like that, because I totally am. I'm just saying that this incoming list of top 10 films from this year isn't going to be all Ant-Mans and Deadpool 2s. I feel like there's quite a variety in this list, and that's something that I actually really like about my picks as well. I do feel like I cover a lot of ground, and I do feel like I kind of present my tastes in an interesting kind of way. It's not all, one genre, it's not all superhero stuff, it's not all blockbusters, but it's also not entirely the other way around either. It's not all independent stuff or horror stuff or something like that. I like a really wide variety of movies, and I don't know, that's an interesting thing about me, I suppose. I guess. Maybe it's not that interesting, I should just shut up and get onto my list, hey? What a good idea. Alright, so coming in at number 10 is kind of an underrated choice, something that you probably weren't going to predict, and that is The Strangers Prey at Night. The sequel to The Strangers, yes. And I know, The Strangers, why didn't it need a sequel? Well, it didn't, and I fully endorse that belief. And that's my biggest complaint about this movie, actually. If they just wore different masks and didn't look like the same strangers from The Strangers, this could have been an original movie. Since it is a The Strangers sequel, it kind of wasn't the biggest movie of the year. A lot of people didn't go to see it because, well, they were expecting crap, and fair enough, I guess. But it was fantastic. It was surprisingly fantastic. Prey at Night was effective to me in a way that I wasn't expecting. The violence has proved visceral, and at times it was, dare I say, gut-wrenching to watch. And that was thanks to its personal take on all of these characters. Something that I did love about these characters was that none of them were perfect. They all had issues, they all had conflicts with each other. And it's cool that the characters have like a respectable amount of defense in them. Like, they fight back. And when they trip, it's not just because they're like fucking idiots and it's like, well, it's time to trip now, I guess. No, it feels more natural than that. And that made it feel like a real family. And I really like when characters are this good in horror movies, because not all horror movies really commit to writing good characters, since, they know that half of them are going to die by the end of the movie. So I guess there's not that much of a point. Here, though, I think that Strangers Prey at Night proves that stuff like that is worth it and can really bring something like that up to a higher standard. That wasn't that high. Higher standard. Really though, what I really have to talk about when it comes to The Strangers Prey at Night is one particular scene that I loved, and actually I think holds as my favorite singular scene of 2018, involving the stranger killer and the main boy of the family and their fight for survival near this motel pool. What's so great about it is that the advantages keep shifting from one character to the other. They keep getting a hold of some new weapon or something, or one of them like trips over or something, and then you think, well, that's it for that guy, but then something else happens and it just keeps going and you think, that's it, they're gonna die here, but they don't, and it just keeps going, and it really keeps you on the edge of your seat for the entire time. It's fucking beautiful and it's so impressive. Just this one singular scene might be why The Strangers is on this list, because, oh, it's great. Number 9 is Christopher Robin, which is just a delightful, heartwarming, light-hearted, beautiful little movie that just makes you feel warm and cuddly and I don't know, it was enjoyable. You know, it's got the iconic characters that are portrayed in this kind of creepy, realistic sort of way. I was into that, and at the same time, it was a very positive and upbeat movie. It could also be slow and sad at times, but overall, it kind of just made you feel good inside. Though while doing so, it also heavily commentates on Western society and how that works, and how our work-balanced life works, and what being an adult is all about, and that versus childhood. And yeah, I just think that Christopher Robin is a really great film for anyone to watch, like anyone of all ages, because I related to it, I really liked it as a 22-year-old. I feel like kids would definitely be into this. I feel like 50-year-olds could be into this. I think that it's pretty much a safe bet for anybody, and it's a safe recommend. Game Night is a simple comedy at first sight. It doesn't boast a great deal on its poster. It doesn't look like it's trying to be that impressive. But not only is Game Night genuinely hilarious and intelligent in its clever comedy, but it also has this fantastic look to it, this fantastic direction, and it executes so much more finesse than I think necessary. Game Night often goes for more ambitious shots and makes watching it that much more enjoyable beyond just the comedy, which is also great. Everything about it just feels that much better than other 2018 comedies, which, you know, in comparison felt pretty mediocre. Game Night is really high in standards when it comes to simple comedies like this. Boy Erased tells the true story of the son of a priest who is kind of pushed into, well, forced into attending this gay conversion therapy is what they call it, which is basically just this bullshit fucking place which makes you not be gay, or at least that's their aim. They're trying to make gay people not gay because it's like a sin or whatever. So yeah, if you want to get angry, I definitely recommend watching this because it will make you angry. And to make matters worse, this movie is based on a true story. This is a real life guy, and it really just makes it that much sadder. Seeing that this movie was directed by Joel Edgerton though is what really drew me into watching this. You could really feel his intent behind this movie. He had a lot of criticism for the hypocrisy and the heartbreaking views of the Catholic Church, and how some of them view topics like homosexuality and even mental illness as being a sin, as being something that you're doing wrong. And that fucking pissed me off. Like, it's not something that people don't have a choice in. It's like something that people are doing for fun or something. Like, mental illness is literally something that you can't help, something that you don't want. And these people are basically being like, no, fuck them, they're assholes for being that way. It's just, it's fucking, yep. I don't even have words. It's just, it pissed me off a lot, and it makes you, angry. Made me angry. Boy Erased felt meticulous in its intentions, and it's definitely directed with a certain sleekness. It's a slow-paced film, but one with an emotional journey. And it's probably the best film of 2018 that's gonna enrage you. Upgrade! It's fucking fun, man! It's just such a fucking great time. I love Upgrade. Is fun, and it's original, and it's exciting. It's got an energy to it that is just out of this world. It feels original, it feels violent, and it just feels like you're going in for a good time. Upgrade like awakened something in me. It gave me faith in cinemas. I mean movies. Films. Shut up. Alright, we knew that this was going to be on my list, okay? This is on everybody's list, I know. We're all sick of hearing people talk about this, because we get it. Infinity War was great. It was cool. It's the most ambitious movie of this genre. It's like 10 years in the making, 20 films or so in. The sheer scale is mind-blowing, and, you know, it had all the features. The special effects were just stargazingly beautiful. It had the climactic action, and it didn't let us down in any way. It delivered what it promised. We all had such high anticipation for it, and they didn't fuck up. It wasn't bad, and it deserves to be on this list because Infinity War was really great. It's great to see that we're now seeing high stakes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's impressive in how these movies are now interlocking within each other, with vital situations that are actually going to impact later films and are actually going to affect all of the characters. That is something very exciting to see, and this is a very ambitious film that I'm glad exists. It's not just a fun superhero film, it's a revolutionary superhero film. It's something that we kind of haven't seen before. 10 years in the making and it didn't disappoint. I'm super excited for Endgame. Can't wait. Cargo! Cargo is an Australian film about a dying father and his desperate attempt to find a suitable guardian for his daughter before he dies. That's real funny, isn't it? It's funny when I fuck up words when it's really depressing sentences. And if that premise doesn't inherently interest you, you suck. Sorry. I was intrigued from that. From that premise. Cargo is as human as it gets. It's a beautiful film about selflessness, mortality, and parenthood. Martin Freeman does a great job as the lead here, as he depicts this hopeless father on this haunting journey that he's on. The film takes you to some dark, frustrating, scary situations, though I wouldn't exactly call this a horror movie per se. It does revolve around zombies and the post-apocalyptic outback. And sure, zombies are done to death, but this is a much more original film. This definitely isn't a fun kind of movie like Upgrade. Cargo makes you worry for the characters, and it takes its time telling its story with a fantastic premise executed with extreme emotion. It sucks though that it's fairly unknown, and even the ones that have seen it don't rate it that highly. It's only got a 6.3 on IMDb at the moment, which I think is super low for the kind of movie that it is. Underrated as, so go see it and rate it high and get it up there. Well, here we are guys, the top 3 movies of 2018, according to me anyway. But really when it comes to, you know, top 3 or so, or even top 5, they start to become a little bit interchangeable. Really, I could swap these over tomorrow, I could swap these over later today. A Quiet Place holds intensity so tightly that you can't help but just feel every single moment and get lost in this simple story. I genuinely think that A Quiet Place is a masterpiece. Sure, while there might be some questions raised throughout, like why didn't they just live near the waterfall? Shut the fuck up and logic, get out of here. But A Quiet Place presents us with such a strongly established world that we just get lost in it. Personally, I forgot about these details and I believed in every single moment. Once you really care about the family, you don't really care about these outer details, and you don't really need to nitpick all of these things. Sure, a perfect film wouldn't have things to nitpick, but no film is really perfect. So if you care about that and you're nitpicking, you're wrong and you're stupid and fuck you. Nah, you're allowed to not like this movie, but shut up, I don't want to hear about it. Hereditary is a divisive choice, I know. It's not the fan favorite, I know that. It's not going to win the popularity contest and pass go or whatever, okay? Hereditary is not for everyone, but the people who have seen it and liked it, loved it. And so yeah, it's got a strong sensibility there that really divides people, especially when it comes to critics and general moviegoers, because one definitely liked it more than the other. If you ask me, Hereditary was easily the best horror film of the year. It features some very, very creepy imagery. Also contains some of the most impressive acting of 2018, bar none. It is the most impressive. And it's probably the film that I most respect from this year. Even if it's not exactly my fan favorite pick, I think that this is the best movie of 2018. Hereditary is for film lovers. It's ingeniously put together and crafted, and very little falls apart come the end. It's not a perfect, squeaky clean kind of movie, and it's not for everyone, but if you're into those movies that we all talk about every single time one of these sorts of movies come out, like It Follows, It Comes at Night, The Babadook, stuff like that, you're bound to really love this movie because it's got a similar tone. It's like those. It's just as good as all of those. Way better than The Babadook because I don't really like The Babadook that much, but Hereditary is great. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but highly, highly recommend to people that are very into film. And for my number 1 pick of the year, I'm going with Bad Times at the El Royale because I had such a good time at the El Royale in cinemas. I made this joke in my review for this movie. I shouldn't be doing this. It's not very funny, sorry. Bad Times at the El Royale is an underrated masterpiece. It's funny, it's violent, it's cleverly paced and put together, it's got strong dialogue, Everything about it is just super enjoyable, and it's suspiciously toned like a Tarantino film, and maybe that's why I love it so much. It's one hell of a ride. The dialogue, like I said, is enjoyable. The acting is top-notch, especially on Chris Hemsworth's part, and the direction feels fresh and original, even though it pays homage to a bunch of other things, still has this, I don't know, creativity to it. Bad Times at the El Royale was the best time that I had in cinemas in 2018. Going in, I wasn't exactly 100% sure what to expect with it, but I think that maybe that's what made it that much better, and I think that if you can, you should go in blind, and you should discover and learn as you go. You should see and guess how it all plays out as it goes along. This is a cat, and it's fighting with the other one, and I'm gonna protect it for a second. It's really cool to learn and endure and just see what's going on as it goes along. It's a really cool movie to not know a lot about. I love Bad Times at the El Royale. Chloe. Alright, go away. Fuck off! Alright, sneaky choice. Oh, I'm breaking the rules here. Sorry, Bad Times at the El Royale. Yes, you're great, but you know what? I have to add a final thing to this top 10 list. I don't know if it's my number 1, I don't know if it's replacing number 10, I don't know exactly where I'm placing it, because I wrote this top 10 list before I went to go see this movie, and you know what? I loved it that much that, look, it needed to be added, but I was happy with my list. I didn't really want to change it. So, I'm adding a sneaky number 0 to my top 10 list, and that is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because it is so good. It's just so good. I thought it was going to be overrated because I've read so much shit about it being like the best thing ever, and I was sick of reading about it. But you know what? Yep, it's just as good as everybody's saying. Into the Spider-Verse has such a wild energy to it. It feels like a better Scott Pilgrim film than Scott Pilgrim is, because everything is flashing at your face. There's so many colors. It's all jump cutting and is edited perfectly together in this very fun, energetic way. And I love that kind of style. And it's just sick. I love Into the Spider-Verse. It's so exciting to watch, and every moment is like a blink and you'll miss it situation. But there's also just so much packed in here. There's so many visual references and there's so many little details. There's also just great characters that are all really relatable, and there's this really human story within all this cartoony craziness. And even though there is all of these like fights and stuff going on, there is all this over-the-top stuff, it's also very human. You really can relate to a story like this. Like, you can really understand where the characters are coming from. There is an older Peter Parker introduced in this film, which is an interesting take, and he's teaching Miles Morales, the kind of new kid Spider-Man, how to go about being Spider-Man, and both of them are such strong characters. Peter Parker's like this kind of sad version of the character, but it also allows for some great comedy throughout that, and Miles Morales is like this very relatable to young people kind of guy, where he's kind of new to everything, he's learning how to go about this, and I just love everything about this. Into the Spider-Verse has some really emotional beats throughout, and I just think that there's something to admire about a seemingly dumb cartoon making you think and feel things about your actual life and think about yourself. I could relate to both of the main characters, and it really held me in place throughout the entire runtime, which is also 2 hours, which is kind of long for an animated movie like this, but I could have watched this for 4 hours. This was great. I love Into the Spider-Verse more than Life Itself, which is a movie I haven't seen. Haha, not Life Itself, like Life. I'm funny. So yeah, that was my top 10. Yep, cool. I don't know, do the things, like and subscribe and whatever. Peace.